Testing. Hello.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, you're loud and clear.
Yeah.
Oh, you're very
Okay.
loud.
Dragonborn.
In this stream, we're actually responding to William Lane Craig, who made some interesting videos on the original sin. So, bro,
Yep.
Amy and Jake, what can you tell us about the original sin? Like, what is it?
So basically, the concept of original sin is that Christians believe that when Adam ate the apple, the forbidden fruit from paradise, he committed a sin so grave that it injured the human soul, it corrupted the human soul. Okay, and to put it another way, so this sin was so bizarre, so unspeakably horrible that it affects the soul of man, and that all of Adam's progeny suffers from this problem. Okay, so Adam was cast out from paradise due to this sin, and since then, all of Adam's children until today has the original sin, inherited the original sin from because of the sin of Adam, so-called sin of Adam.
Yeah, like obviously, even on a basic surface level, it sounds ridiculous, but
Yes,
obviously,
yes.
like the Christians, they believe it, and I
This
think
is what
like
they this is what they believe, and this actually ties into the whole doctrine of salvation, and
yeah,
salvation through the blood of Jesus, atonement, etc. Yeah, the
yeah.
resurrection and so on. Yeah,
Yeah. So let's
sure.
take a look and see what William Lane Craig said. Now, this video is from like 5 years ago, I think, but I think it's important that we check it out
Yep.
to see what his view is and how he describes original sin to be.
Dr. Craig, could I ask you a question about the concept of original sin, please?
All right.
To my understanding of Protestant Christian traditions, at least, one of the philosophical frameworks is that since the event known as the fall, every human being who's come into existence is tarred with the mark of original sin from the point of birth or conception or some point. I've always struggled to reconcile human beings coming into existence already in a state of original sin and then being subsequently held accountable for that in eternal judgment. I was wondering, how many thoughts?
Yes, I do have some thoughts.
Okay, so before we get into into anything, so basically this Christian, he has like this doubt, right? And it's completely normal because this whole concept of original sin is completely illogical, like from a number of different reasons. And inshallah, we'll elaborate further. But let's hear what Craig has to say. And do you want to add something?
Yes, you see, the thing is, Christians badly need the concept of original sin in their theology, because without the concept of original sin, there's no reason for Jesus to die for the sins of the world. And if Jesus did not die for the sins of the world, then it means his so-called death on the cross is worthless.
Yeah.
It's pointless. You see?
Pointless.
Pointless. Exactly.
God died for no reason.
Exactly. I mean, this is so in which means therefore that Jesus's divinity, at least in the understanding of the Christians, will be in doubt, will be cast in doubt. So that is why this concept of original sin is very, very much needed by the church.
Yeah. Okay, so let's hear what Craig has to say.
Teach a Sunday school class called Defenders, in which we have
Defenders. It's kind of made me laugh.
Defenders.
Because there's a Marvel Netflix show.
Yes, I was going to mention that. Yeah, if you look at Disney Plus, they actually call it the Defenders Saga.
Yeah. Hold on, let me see. Let me see if I can pull up the picture. Defenders.
Yeah, with Luke Cage and Iron Fist and Jessica Jones and and one more character, I forgot his name. Daredevil. Yes. Yeah.
Hold on. Let me.
Yep. It's them. Yeah, it's them. Yeah. Yep. All four of them. Yeah.
So that's the Defender. So this is William Lane Craig is ahead of this.
The Defenders.
Yeah. Okay, so let's continue.
Yeah, let's continue. Yeah.
a survey of all of the major parts of Christian doctrine from beginning to end. This is on our website. We're currently in the third series of surveying Christian doctrine and apologetics, and you'll find my lectures on original sin in the section called Doctrine of Salvation. Now, Christians differ in their view of original sin. So if you have reservations about this, you will be in very good company. It's not as though this is a cardinal doctrine of Christianity.
What is he talking about? It's not a cardinal doctrine? It seems
Well,
quite important to me. Yeah.
Well, you need to look at the history of the church. Well, in the early days of the church, the concept of original sin was not properly defined right until the time of Origen. Okay, so Origen was the first person who actually mentioned about original sin. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is what he means. Yeah.
And another thing that I find really problematic in the way that many Christians phrase this type of concepts, which is that they're saying that, there's diversity of opinions, so it doesn't really matter. But the fact that you have diversity of opinions itself is a problem.
Yes, exactly.
Like imagine there's like a murder, right? A murder happened, and one person is saying that person A murdered him. Another person is saying no, person B murdered him. Another person is saying no, actually person C murdered him. So who murdered him?
Exactly.
So
exactly.
It's just nonsensical. It clearly shows this theology has been corrupted.
Exactly.
Either corrupted or it's false, because we
Yes.
have no way of knowing which one is true.
Because you have no way of knowing which part of your theology is true. Yeah, because this is a theology. This involves theology, right? The belief in God. So anything knowledge about God is very important. You cannot have differing opinions about God. Okay, you can have differing opinions about faith, right? About jurisprudence, right?
Yeah.
For example, like if you eat food, do you eat it with your left hand or with your right hand? So that is fine because that doesn't affect doctrine, doesn't affect the core doctrine or your core beliefs of a religion. But when you're going to have issues like for example, like this, the original sin, then it's going to be problematic for you.
Because original sin, this concept completely changes the religion. I mean,
yes, it does.
This idea. I mean, it changes how you view, what you have to do, like in the whole concept of sin, and that's the core doctrine issue. So
yes,
it's just ridiculous to hand wave it away as if there's this difference of opinion, so it doesn't matter.
The point here is that Christian apologists like Craig seems to be saying all the contradictory views on core religious issues are valid. This is logically impossible. There can only be one correct opinion. This is why when it comes to core religious issues, Sunni Muslims don't differ. However, if you take Craig's view, then you have to admit Christianity is corrupted, because it cannot agree on core issues like if God is all-loving or forgiving or not. If original sin is true, then clearly not, but if it isn't, then he is. So how can God be both loving and not loving? This is a serious theological contradiction, and by saying this, Dr. Craig accidentally refutes Christianity.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Let's continue.
Catholic Church holds to the doctrine of original sin, but Eastern Orthodoxy, for example, does not. In the Eastern Orthodox Church, it's believed that we all bear a corrupted nature as a result of sin's entry through Adam into the human race, but we don't hold or bear original.
Nani? Uh-oh. What happened? Everything froze.
A few moments later.
Okay, Assalamualaikum guys. Islamic calling just messaged me informing that he has PC problems and he'll be back shortly. All right. So in the meantime, I'll just be around. All right.
Meanwhile. One eternity later.
Can everyone hear me?
Assalamualaikum. Can you hear me?
Yeah, guys, sorry about that. I had some serious technical issues regarding my PC. Yeah, okay. So how far along did you watch the video?
I watched all of it, right, from the beginning right to the end.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the whole thing.
So did you give any commentary on it? Like, what was your opinion on it?
I don't remember what he actually exactly said, But to me, it's BS because he doesn't. He tries to reinterpret the original sin by putting in his own understanding of it. But essentially, what original sin means is, as I've mentioned in the earlier part of your stream, is that Adam did commit a sin according to Christian theology, of course. I mean, to the Christian tradition, and because of this, he was cast out from paradise, and because of this sin, is inherited throughout his descendants, throughout Adam's descendants. That's basically what original sin means. And because Adam's descendants have inherited the original sin, which was committed by Adam, it can only be not cleansed, not removed, but diluted through the blood sacrifice of Jesus Christ, who, according to Christians, was a sinless man who became God incarnate. Yeah, so this is basically the understanding of. So that is why it's very important for Christians to have this belief in the doctrine of original sin, because without it, then the point of Jesus, sacrifice and dying at the cross would not be there anymore. There will be no point of that.
Yeah. So the main issue that I have with like the original sin is because especially because it's fallacious, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you can't punish people for something that they didn't do themselves.
Yes, exactly.
Like for example, this is especially problematic because there's a fallacy. It's known as guilt by association, right?
Yes.
I can pull up the fallacy here.
Sure. Go ahead.
So as you can see, so it's basically like an ad hominem, which is the logical form is something like this. Person 1 states that Y is true. Person 2 also states that Y is true. And person 2 is a moron. Conclusion, therefore, person 1 must be a moron too. So basically, you blame someone for the action of someone else, right? And this is extremely problematic because, I mean,
Just to explain this fallacy a bit further, let's put it in a proper form. Adam was a sinner. Every human comes from Adam's progeny. Therefore, every human are sinners too. The conclusion doesn't follow because we are not responsible for Adam's sin.
even if we were to say, for the sake of argument, that Adam did something bad, which is reasonable to say that Adam did something bad, you cannot then therefore say because Adam did something bad, what we're also guilty because of that, because what we are not responsible for what Adam does. That's like saying that I'm responsible for all the Bengalis that murder people, right? All the murderers that live in my country, because they're not my responsibility. And same way, Adam is not our responsibility because we didn't like. I think one argument that Craig tries to give is that he tries to make this whole thing. I think in the end he tries to give an argument, right? So I think maybe we can watch a portion of it and I can make my response.
Sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. And let's go to here. I think it's here.
Federal head of the is one of the strengths of the Christian faith, I think, that it permits this kind of diversity. Now, if one is convinced of the doctrine of original sin, what might be said in defense of it? Well, here would be my best shot. I would say that Adam can be regarded as the federal head of the human race. That is to say, he is our representative or proxy before God, so that what he does as our representative. For example, I will get every year a proxy form for stockholders' meetings in mutual funds that we invest in. And if you cannot attend the stockholders, you sign the proxy form, and somebody else whom you've authorized will vote in your place.
So this is obviously a false analogy. I mean, like obviously, like in like a stockholder situation, you are responsible for the stockholders, or the stockholders are responsible for you, because there's involvement of profit, right?
Yes,
there's a responsibility there
because the stakeholders have given their money to the company, and therefore you are responsible for the money. Okay.
Yeah.
But in the case of Adam committing sin and the rest of the descendants dying, where have we where have we elected Adam to be our representative for him to die, for him to commit sin? Have we ever told Adam, okay, on our behalf, you are our representative, and therefore you can do whatever you do, you will be held accountable on our behalf? We never say this. We never say this. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you cannot blame someone for the action of someone else.
Exactly.
It is completely logically fallacious. Then
Yes.
let's continue and let's hear what else he
Yes.
has to say.
He doesn't
Yes.
vote for himself. This is your vote, but he votes for you. And in the same way, one can understand Adam to be our proxy before God. He is the federal head of the human race. Now, someone might object, well, fine, but who appointed him to act on my behalf? I didn't authorize him to vote for me. Why should I be held responsible for what my representative did? And
This is
here
exactly the same
think
argument I
that
used, right?
Person who believes in original sin might plausibly reply that if you had been in that situation, then you would have done exactly the same thing. So that no one can complain that their representative failed to act.
Even if I was to do the same thing, you still cannot blame me for something he did. That doesn't make any logical sense.
That might be acceptable to Len Craig, but it's not acceptable to me. I never agreed to this. So why would I want to agree with this position?
Yeah, it doesn't make
You
any
see-
sense.
You see, William Lane Craig is presuming that just because he agrees with this, with this position, therefore everyone else will agree with him. But no, I don't agree with this.
Yeah,
I don't agree to.
the problem here is that, like, even if for the sake of argument we agreed that even if I was in the situation, I would have done the same thing, but that just doesn't justify you to punish me. Like, that's like punishing someone for the possibility of a crime, right?
Exactly.
Like, for example,
Exactly.
imagine there's a child who lives in a very poor area and there's a strong possibility he might become a criminal. You cannot punish the
Yes.
child for that.
Exactly.
That's unjust.
Exactly.
That's completely unjust. And if
Yes,
this is the
exactly.
type of God that, like, Craig is advocating for, then this type of God cannot exist because he's unjust.
Yes,
And we believe in a
exactly.
just God, and
Of
then
course,
he
of
would be imperfect, immoral.
Yeah. Yes.
So he
Yes.
couldn't be God.
Yes.
And this would prove
Also,
Christianity. Yeah.
to add on to this, this is also presuming that Adam did commit a sin. But the thing is, we as Muslims, we don't believe that Adam did commit a sin. And even in the Bible itself, you read the story carefully, you will find that it doesn't really support the Christians' doctrine of original sin. Adam did not carry any sin. And the Jews themselves believe the same way as Muslims do regarding Adam, that Adam did not carry any original sin. It is only the Christians who believe this.
Mhm.
Yeah, you see? Yeah, so this is the problem for Christians to solve.
Yeah. And let's finish this up. And
in a way that was consistent with their own will. And I think that makes it reasonable to believe in the doctrine of original sin. Adam was my proxy before God, and what he did, I would have done had I been there myself. And therefore, his guilt is imputed to me.
okay, so that's basically his argument. And the thing is that this whole argument actually refutes Christianity, because if you go by this logic that this person died for my sin, therefore or this person did this crime, therefore I'm guilty of it, or this person did this for me, therefore I'm guilty of it.
And also the
Like,
idea that if anyone else were in that situation, he would have done the same thing as Adam did. That is also ridiculous. Yeah.
This is completely logically fallacious and logically illogical. Because I mean, just think about it. Like, do you honestly think that a theology would advocate the injustice? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, if a merciful God existed, he would never be unjust to his creation. But this is completely unjust, because in Islam, we don't believe that God would punish someone else for someone else's crime. That's just not logical. So imagine you have two possibilities, right? And one is saying that other people are not responsible for other people's crime, and other one is saying that no, other people are responsible for other people's crime. So one makes logical sense, the other doesn't. Obviously, the more likely to be true religion would be the one that makes sense, right? We can use Occam's razor here because it needs more explanation to explain this problem, which is that the original sin, and you need this type of like sacrifice, God coming down and sacrificing himself, and all of this nonsense and complicated nonsense. On the other hand, you have the Jews who never believed any of this, and they never accepted any of this. And Muslims who also don't accept any of this. So what is more likely, that it is just a false corrupted teaching, or all of these people are wrong? It's more likely that it's just a false corrupted teaching. Now, there's a Bible verse that actually completely contradicts this idea. And I think maybe I can pull it up.
Yeah.
here. It's in 2 Samuels, right? 2 Samuels
Yeah.
13. Let me just share it, and then we'll end, inshallah. Okay, 2 Samuels 12 to 13. We read for 30. So this whole story is about David. David basically did something wrong, and God was criticizing him for it. And then he said, then David said to Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. Nathan replied, the Lord has taken away your sin. Lord has taken away your sin. Here you can clearly see in the Old Testament, God forgave people for their sin. How's this consistent? This is completely inconsistent. So if you're saying that, people have this original sin and God cannot forgive them for it, then why is he forgiving people for it? In the Bible, he constantly does this. So this is completely contradictory to the Bible. And it doesn't make any sense. So this clearly shows that these teachings of original sin is corrupted. It's false. It's not coherent with the Bible at all. And because it's not coherent with the Bible at all, we can safely say that Christianity is corrupted or it's false. And if it's false, maybe you should become a Muslim, And I think we can end there.
Yes, that's
not
right.
much
That's
else
right.
to say. And again, I apologize to everyone for the technical issues. I'll try my best to fix that. But anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, so basically, the concept of original sin is a doctrine which was it started only to develop in the 2nd to 3rd century of Christianity. Prior to this, there was no concrete idea of doctrine of the original sin. So because Christians, but there were Christians who actually believe in the death and resurrection of Jesus. So in order to justify this, and because they also believe that Jesus is somehow God, therefore they need to show evidence for this, right? So that is why they come up with the idea that the reason why God had to die to save people, to die and basically to die, is because he purposely wanted to die in order to save man from sin. So then the next question is, where does this sin come from? So they blame Adam for this, and hence
and this is the thing. If you apply Occam's razor. By the way, if you guys don't know what Occam's razor is a principle in logic, which is that the explanation that requires the least is usually correct. For example, if you use an analogy, like if you go to a forest and if you see a bunch of footprints, and in that footprints, you think to yourself, this is it look like a footprints of an animal, but it's not really a footprint, just a footprint of an animal. It's actually a shape-shifting alien that came down and turned into an animal, right?
Yeah.
Now, you ask yourself, is that reasonable? I mean, of course not, because what is more likely, that you're seeing the footprint of an animal, or if it's like some kind of shape-shifting animal that came down, and then turned into an animal? Obviously, the more logical option is that it's just an animal. And same thing here. I mean, why would it be the case that in Judaism or Islam, or especially in Judaism, all this long tradition, they never believed any of this. Then all of a sudden, in Christianity, you have this concept where other people are punished for other people, and you have to explain that concept. You have God's dying and all this other kind of nonsense, right?
Exactly.
What is more likely? It's more likely that this is false. This is incorrect.
Yep.
And and that's that. So I guess we can end it here. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, that's all. I think I've pretty much said my piece here.
Again, thank you guys for watching. Inshallah, my next video might be on another one on Christianity, which is responding to another guy. His name is Pint with a Connes with David Wood. So we're going to respond to and react to that. Maybe we're going to do it like a Zoom on offline, because I need to fix my PC, and then we'll get into that.
Or maybe we can do it on my channel, so that I can stream, and then I'll stream it on your channel as well at the same time.
That sounds like a great idea. Yeah.
Sounds better, right?
We'll see you guys next time. If you guys like the video, like, share, subscribe, and of course, don't forget to subscribe to Brother MENJ's channel over here. Over here.
Yeah. Right.
And if you guys want to support me, because you guys can become a Patreon or become a YouTube member. So with this, I want to end this video. Thank you guys for watching. Jazakallah khair. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.